Week 3 of the NBA season is wrapped up and we're already seeing an alarming amount of injuries from some of the league's best players. Guys like Morant, Tyrese Maxey, Chet Holmgren, Kevin Durant, the entire starting lineup for the Pelicans, and several more are now missing games due to injury. So the NBA might look a little different going forward. But besides injuries ruining the league once again, this week was still full of incredible games and moments. Like the Cavaliers absolutely mollywopping the Warriors, Morant defying gravity, Jokic putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers, and Giannis just slowly losing his sanity.
Hey man, if you don't want to be here, you can leave. If you don't want to be here, you can leave.
We have to start off with the hottest team in the league right now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who look borderline unstoppable right now. New head coach Kenny Atkinson has been a big piece in taking this team to the next level. Their guard duo of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are now playing together perfectly, while the bigs Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen are also syncing up just as well. Lots of people were saying that they're only good because they play in the East, just for them to be up 41 points at halftime against one of the best teams in the West. And now they're the first team to start 11-0 since the Warriors in 2016, and that year they started 24-0. The Celtics have the next best record at 9-2, and yes, they still look really good. Jason Tatum is continuing to put up MVP caliber numbers while Jaylen Brown has been out of the lineup due to a hip injury. But they won the championship last year for a reason, and they've been able to make do without him. The only loss they had in week 3 was to the Warriors, who also have one of the best records in the league. Although they got smacked by the Cavs, that was their first loss in 5 games, and the Cavs are simply that good. And like them, the Warriors have also been performing a lot better than people were expecting. Despite Steph Curry already missing a few games, they've been able to keep their spot at the top of the Western Conference. Buddy Hield at this point was born to be a Warrior, and they have one of the deepest rotations in the league. They've been really good on both sides of the floor, which is the most impressive part. And Steph even just put up 36 points and 7 assists in a big win over the Thunder, who also have a 8-2 record. They've lost 2 out of their last 3 after starting out 7-0, although their only loss was to the Nuggets, who played incredible in that game. We know how good of a team the Thunder are at this point, but Chet's injury is gonna shake things up a lot. After playing all 82 games last year, Chet is already expected to miss at least 8 to 10 weeks with a hip fracture after he tried to block a layup. And he might be more mad that Andrew Wiggins still made the layup than the injury itself. He was having such a good start to this season, and hopefully he can come back sooner than later. But oddly enough, the only other team with an 8-2 record also had one of their best players suffer an injury. The Phoenix Suns have easily been one of the most standout teams so far this season, and that's mainly thanks to Kevin Durant literally playing at an MVP level. KD has already hit like 5 of the clutchest shots this season and has single-handedly taken over the offense multiple times. Those 2 games he had against the Heat and the 76ers were actually incredible. But Devin Booker has also been playing really well, along with a few others stepping up in their role. And they're gonna need to even more because KD's gonna be out for the next 2 weeks with a calf strain, and after his Achilles tear, he should take all the time he needs before coming back. The Nuggets started off the season hovering around 500, but since losing to the Timberwolves, they've won their last 5 games. And like the Suns and KD, their 7-3 record is mainly due to Jokic putting up video game numbers. I'm not even saying that as a joke either, he's putting up Wilt Chamberlain looking stat lines on a nightly basis right now. They've needed players to step up because of their lack of depth, especially after Aaron Gordon got hurt. And honestly, they've been doing just that. Jamal Murray is coming back into his usual self, and Michael Porter Jr. has been on fire, even hitting the game winner against the Mavericks. The Memphis Grizzlies are yet another team that has really suffered from injuries. Several different players for the Grizzlies have already been hurt, but now Ja has been missing time after hurting his hip, which absolutely sucks for the Grizzlies, but it also sucks for the fans because this dude has been on another level this season. I mentioned last week that he had one of the best single game highlight tapes against the Bucks, but this week he had the greatest single game highlight tape against the Nets. Ja had 2 360 layups in the same game. Not one, but 2 different unbelievably difficult layups. Before Ja, the NBA was averaging like 1 360 layup a year maybe. Now he's doing it twice in a single matchup. Zach Edey has had some really impressive games, Scottie Pippen Jr. got a triple-double, and more importantly, Yuki Kawamura is getting buckets. Washington. The Lakers are already in mid-season form, being one of the most inconsistent teams in the NBA. They can beat any team in the league, but they can also lose to any team in the league. Despite Anthony Davis playing like an MVP and LeBron playing like an all-star, the Lakers have been struggling to get anything out of anyone else. We're just 10 games into the season, and JJ Redick literally took D'Angelo Russell out of the starting lineup for Cam Reddish. And it seems to be working as they've won both of their games with D'Lo coming off the bench, although they haven't been playing the best competition. They might have to step up and play a few games without Anthony Davis though, so we'll see what they look like come week 4. Also, Bronny's first G League game was completely sold out and tickets were going for over $1,000. The Pacers are currently sitting as the 3 seed in the East with a 5-5 record. If the playoffs started right now, 5 teams with a negative record in the East would make the playoffs, while in the West, there are 10 different teams with a positive record. That's crazy. Anyways, the Pacers have been struggling to start the season, but are beginning to look a lot better. Benedict Mathurin has been having some breakout performances, including a 38-point game and a win over the Knicks. Plus, in the same game, Tyrese Haliburton ended with 35 points and 15 assists. Just a great game by both of them. The Clippers have been staying alive at 6-4 without Kawhi Leonard. James Harden has been the leader of the team, while Norman Powell has been one of the most consistent players in the whole league. Even Zubac has been just as valuable, and Kawhi will fit into this current team perfectly once he's back. The Timberwolves have been off and on, but you kind of expected that going into the season. Anthony Edwards has been amazing and is statistically the best 3-point shooter in the league. He's taking some of the most threes a game while making 48% of them, which doesn't even sound real. But in the stacked West, you can't lose many games at all and still make the playoffs, so they'll need to put it together sooner than later, but they're on that path. The Bucks went from being a championship contender coming into the season to having the 3rd worst record 10 games into the year. Damian Lillard and Giannis really look like the only bright spots on the team. The roster isn't awful, but it could definitely be a lot better. Right now, there's clearly a coaching and/or culture problem going on. If only there was a coach that could lead the Bucks to a positive record. At least if Doc Rivers gets fired, they will have a great coach to instantly take over. Right? The Knicks have already been playing their starters over 40 minutes a game and have been a bit up and down. Offensively, they look fine, but defensively, they've been struggling. There's times they look really good, like the Towns dunk fest against the Bucks and Brunson's big performance in the loss to the Pacers. They currently have a 4-5 record, but I still think once they continue to get used to playing together, things will turn around. The Mavericks are 500, but they've lost 3 of their last 4 by a total of 10 points. They've been able to stay in games or come back, but haven't been able to close them out. Kyrie even had a 43-point game, shooting 17 for 22 just to lose to the Nuggets. But with the roster they have, and after seeing some of the games they've played, I'm still not too worried. The Hawks are 4-7, but their young players are continuing to show out. Dyson Daniels has been incredible defensively, and Jalen Johnson has been looking good too. Not to mention their number 1 overall pick, who just had 33 points in their win over the Knicks. Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder, and Cam Johnson have all been playing really well for a team that was supposed to be one of the worst going into this season. With the way they've been playing and with the way the East looks, they might just accidentally play themselves into a playoff spot. The Pistons are also 4-7, which sounds bad, but knowing they didn't have 4 wins until like game 40 last season, it's a step in the right direction. Cade Cunningham is still playing like a high-caliber all-star and even had a game-winning bucket and block against the Hawks. The 76ers are kind of like the Bucks, but they sort of have an excuse because literally everyone is hurt. Joel Embiid is getting technicals and getting suspended before playing a game, and Tyrese Maxey is out for at least the next couple weeks as well. Jared McCain's season has come sooner than everyone expected. The Kings are 6-4, but I honestly feel like they've been playing better than their record shows. They've had multiple big games, including a big overtime win over the Suns. DeMar is looking good with his new team, and Sabonis even had a perfect game with a triple-double while shooting 6 for 6 with no turnovers. The Pelicans started off solid, but injuries have already derailed their season. Literally 4 out of the 5 players in their starting lineup are out, so hopefully they can stay afloat until they all come back. And the same thing for the Magic. They aren't missing their whole lineup, but they are missing Paolo, and that has hurt them a lot. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Trey Mann all look extremely good for the Hornets. They even had a game against the Pacers where LaMelo scored 31 and Miller scored 29. Tyler Hero has been averaging 23 points a game while Jimmy and Bam both haven't been playing their best basketball. And similar to the Hawks, the Raptors haven't been very good, but their top young players are looking really solid. RJ Barrett has been fantastic, and so is Grady Dick. That team just needs everyone to stay on the court at once. Wembanyama is still having unreal performances, and Jeremy Sohan has a fractured thumb and will need to miss several games going forward. Also, Greg Popovich has been dealing with health issues that have caused him to not be able to coach, so hopefully he'll be alright and get back to where he was. But that about wraps up week 3. Nikola Jokic is the player of the week in the West, which isn't a surprise, and Darius Garland is the player of the week in the East, which he definitely deserved. But let me know what you think about this week as a whole, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.